Good deal. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Good to see you all. All right. Like the energy in the room. We're shaking off the vacation fog of the holidays, too much cheese, too much wine, and back to reality. So good morning again, and welcome to Architects of Branding and Entertainment Experience, where we'll be talking about AI, CGI, and XR. We're gathered at a remarkable moment. 2026 marks a seismic shift in where enterprises are no longer simply applying new tools, but actively forging innovation as we create, distribute, and experience brand storytelling. My name is Elizabeth Keener. I'll be moderating today's panel. I'm Chief Strategy Officer of a technology and innovation firm called Nortal. Our US office is based in Seattle, and we have 3,000 people worldwide. I will let the rest of the panel introduce themselves briefly. I have a few opening remarks and then a little bit of a different experience today, which hopefully will be really fun for you all. Everybody brought some visuals and videos to share. So beyond this being a panel of a lot of talking heads and Q&A, we have some things that will be really inspiring to you, I hope, and provocative, and hopefully give you nice ammunition to ask us questions later. Hopefully we get time for questions. And if not, obviously, we'll be here after the panel, and you can come up and grab a side conversation with anyone you'd like, of course. So let's kick things off and let's start with some intros down the row, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson. I'm a filmmaker represented by Nexus Studios over in they're in London, LA, and Sydney, and I'm also a creative lead working over there.
Hi. No, you made me question whether these are on or not. First of all, thank you everybody for making the time on Monday morning back to work and back to the year. I'm Diana Caverly. I'm the Global Chief Strategy Officer of a company called MRM, McCann Relationship Marketing, and I'm very happy to be back at CES.
Hello all, I am Karen Kranick. I am Group Director of Applied AI at Dept Agency, specializing in experience strategy. Really thinking about how brands can use AI to enhance their front-end experiences and also their internal workflows. Excited to be here.
Hey, I'm Nick Kleveroff, Chief Creative Officer of Native Foreign, a creative agency and brand storytelling company specializing in AI.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dustin Califf, and I'm president at Tool. We're a AI-led content and experience studio based in Los Angeles, and we primarily work with brands to help them tell their stories as well as create content systems. And we're now developing software solutions for them to create, repeatable content opportunities that for product photography and other things like that to allow them to kind of become more efficient and put their focus in other areas of creativity.
Thanks, Dustin. So let's set the stage with some context and some facts and figures, if you will. The AR and VR market is projected to reach $296 billion by 2025, and the spatial computing market is expected to surge from $20 billion, which it was last year, to $85.5 billion by 2030. This represents a staggering 33% compound annual growth rate. Dustin and I have had our third year in a row moderating a panel together at CES, and we were on our prep call talking about what makes this year different. And I think we may always ask ourselves, are we at that critical tipping point? And I think maybe this is the year, and I think we're interested in having an inspired conversation around how we as leaders can really be shaping the future of where our industry goes, really focusing on three converging forces, in my opinion. First of which is Gen AI, of course, moving from the hype to practical implementations that we've seen some examples of, like Mattel signing its first wide-ranging deal with OpenAI, Unilever using AI to produce digital twins of its products and making image production twice as fast and at half the cost. Disney and OpenAI also reached a landmark $1 billion agreement, bringing their beloved characters of the Disney family to Sora for user-generated content creation. So there's a lot of changes there, of course. Secondly, I think in CGI, this has evolved beyond traditional special effects, which we'll get into. I think there's been a breakthrough trend in 2024 and 2025 with fake out-of-home advertising. And a really good example of this is a campaign Procter & Gamble did last year in United Arab Emirates using AI-powered kiosks and XR to increase average customer dwell time in stores by 10 to 15 minutes, which seems really remarkable. Lastly, as far as extended reality goes, this is maturing from being more of an experiment to really being a transformative business tool. 88% of XR companies are now integrating AI into their solutions, reflecting a trend toward AI-driven personalization and efficiency, which we've seen with Apple's Vision Pro, for example, integrated with the M5 chip and other technologies like NVIDIA's Cloud XR that will be enabling high-resolution XR content to be streamed seamlessly directly to wireless devices. I'm sure we'll be hearing many, many more things and announcements from those companies this week. But we're not just creating content anymore. We're architecting experience. And the question isn't whether to adopt these technologies, but how to orchestrate them strategically. So our panelists today will be, I think, encouraging everyone in the audience to think about what is our role as leaders in this space at this moment. So with that, I will see if our slides work. Hopefully they do. All right. So what we'll start to do to set the stage and give you some more context is everyone here on the stage will show you some examples of their work. I do not want to steal the attention or the spotlight here, but I will mention my company, Nortal, has done some AI and extended reality work in the Middle East, specifically in Saudi Arabia. So this example speaks to what we were creating as far as architectural experiences, and to have people be able to excavate the land and the artifacts and actually learn the history of some remarkable new cities that are being designed in the region and what was lying in those lands in the past. So this and some other things are projects that we are specifically excited about. But next, I will showcase a clip that Mike sent, and then Mike, after the clip is done, I'll ask you to give us some context on what you'd like to share with the audience based on that. Tell us more.
Well, I love having that trailer because I had to describe it before we had that trailer, and that was the worst. So now we have like 45 seconds. It's a lot like that. We were working with Meta and NBC Universal to take horror films from Blumhouse and put them into the Quest headset, and then utilize all the incredible technology that you have within the Quest headset to enhance these films. It was an interesting project because we're working with films that were created for traditional, like rectilinear movie, so it wasn't like set up for that. So we had to come in and both respect the filmmaker's intention while making it like as amazing and cool as possible. And there's a billion different things we were able to do over the course of that. It was like 180 minutes we ended up enhancing. It's really interesting for me because we had to sell both the app itself and also the idea of the format as a whole of this working for any movie ever, or reality TV, or what have you. So it was a really fun project.
The team that was working on this, tell us more about that. Were they globally distributed, and what was the workflow like?
Yep. Nexus is based in London. I'm based in Portland, Oregon, so right off the bat, that's pretty global for me. And then we had a team all over the place, man. A lot of Europe, Eastern Europe, and whatnot.
Great, thank you. All right, Diana, you're up next. I'm going to show your clip, and then you can tell us more about it.
Hey, AI, write an opening for a case study video after you've taken the allergy med Benadryl.
Sure, in the dreamy twilight between wakefulness and dreams, where drowsy thoughts float like slow-moving clouds, an idea emerged.
Wait, what? Even AI gets drowsy after taking allergy meds like Benadryl and Zyrtec? Sounds crazy, but it's true. So Allegra, the only allergy med that does not make you drowsy, wanted more people to know about it. How would I dance after I've taken Benadryl?
After taking Benadryl, you'll dance like a majestic sloth.
How would I dance after I've taken Allegra?
You'll be twerking sneeze-free because pollen can't touch this.
Introducing Drowsy Prompts, a social campaign that turned AI into Allegra's brand ambassador and had it do all the talking for us. If my fortune cookie took Benadryl, what would it say?
You'll find success after a little nap first.
And all we did was invite people to ask AI themselves. Then we turned everyone's prompts into the campaign. What would watching White Lotus be like after taking Zyrtec?
I should meditate, but I might just nap. Wait, was that a gong?
Drowsy prompts were everywhere, even at Times Square. And what did AI say about Allegra? Always sharp, never drowsy. So how did we pull this off? AI learns from a gazillion data sources, like health websites, product reviews, and user comments.
Did you know AI can get drowsy?
I know, no one likes a groggy and drowsy diva.
This ain't a prompt. It's my brain on airplane mode.
This specific scenario, Allegra versus Benadryl, Zyrtec, has gone viral.
Hey AI, thanks for letting the world know that only Allegra does not make you drowsy. Try it. Scan and ask AI yourself.
Yeah, well, first of all, hopefully that got you to laugh a little as we open CES. And I think I've spent my entire life, career, more than 2 decades in advertising, always being focused on how can we use AI, how can we use XR to create more and more innovative, immersive experiences. But as we start asking ourselves what's different this year, year after year, I think one of the things that we realized last year was that there was a much bigger shift that was happening in the relationship between brands and the people that they are trying to reach than previously. We realize increasingly that there's an AI mediation that is happening and taking over those relationships which otherwise would have been direct. So we spend the majority of the year, and we continue to do so, by trying to understand more and more what we are now calling ARM, agent or AI relationship management. And essentially what examples like this and what follow afterwards, which is we built an entire tool that helps us better understand how those relationships are being mediated by AI system at every stage of the journey, and how can we actually interject that so that our brands, the brands we work with, get represented correctly and that get the right type of prominence. That became kind of like our goal, because in today's world, that feels like a much more critical dimension of branding that we need to be paying attention to than almost anything else.
Thank you for that. Are you seeing, I know you work globally, any different global trends outside of the US?
I would say very similarly so. And in fact, one of the things, we've been obviously talking about the impact of EA mediation in brand relationships with clients from all over the globe. And I think the only difference is that the trends are the same in terms of customer behavior. People just, search, even when they search in Google or TikTok, they now get a lot of AI-generated content. And let's be real, we're all convenience-based beings. So obviously, we're just gonna trust almost mindlessly for the majority of the time, whatever the AI tells us. And I think the only difference is that there's a maturity curve in terms of brands understanding the impact of that consumer behavior and how quickly they should move in order to start influencing it.
Thank you. Nick, I'll be moving to you next.
Cool.
Native Foreign is a creative studio and agency powered by AI that puts human storytelling at the forefront of everything we do. From partnering with the biggest brands in the world to startups and everything in between, we are experts in authentic yet elevated storytelling. As pioneers in the AI space, we created the first ever brand film generated with AI. It went ultra viral, reaching over 1.5 billion people. We also created one of the first animated AI shorts, Critters, which will become one of the first AI native IPs to become a feature film. We believe that these tools are ushering in a new age of creative, where we'll see a renaissance of independent storytelling that we are on the cutting edge of. We've embodied a create by any means necessary mindset for years, and now we've developed a slate of originals. We are WBNC certified, women-owned, packed with Emmy, Oscar, and Grammy-grade creatives, and excited to show you what's next. This is Native Foreign.
All right, what do you have to add there?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much says it all. For those of you that were here last year, we did have the opportunity and good fortune of working on Delta's centennial celebration at the Sphere. That was a really, really incredible project that I'll just remember forever. And you know, we've also just had the other good fortune of being in with OpenAI since 2022. We actually pitched them the Critters short. It was kind of a David Attenborough Planet Earth crashing into a Monty Python sketch that was essentially greenlit as a tech demo. And since then, that now AI native IP has gone on to achieve one of the first AI copyrights. It is now becoming a feature film. We had some pretty big news over the fall that, you know, OpenAI is backing the film. We have the writers of Paddington in Peru, and the animated series penning it. And it's just been a really exciting time for someone, you know, like my friend here, like that's been a creative for 20 plus years. You know, it's been wild to see what has happened in the last just couple years with, you know, the right people in the room with these tools, what's possible now. We've seen so much growth in our company. You know, we've been working with, you know, obviously Delta, but Coca-Cola, you know, Virgin Voyages. We've just had the wonderful opportunity to explore storytelling in ways that it wasn't before. And not just linear storytelling, although of course that's an expression of it, but, you know, experiential, how do people interact with IP moving forward? It's funny, I'm staying at the Cosmo, and one of the projects I worked on at a previous agency was those columns in the Cosmo, and they're still there. That was like 15 years ago, and you know, the people are trapped in the columns or whatever. And so I think there's a lot of interesting applications for main title sequences, for experiential, for just not being so limited by budget in what's possible with imagination. So it's an exciting time, and I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, and that Delta experience was incredible. I am a Delta loyalist, I'll admit, so I have some bias there.
There we go.
The industry and the technology is moving so fast. I'm wondering if you reflect back a year with Delta, is there anything you would have done differently if you were celebrating that centennial this year, for instance?
I mean, the tools keep evolving so rapidly, it just makes it better and better. I wouldn't say it necessarily makes it easier, and I think that's one big misconception that I have to kind of fight is, hey, AI's here, so everything should be done in 5 minutes for $5, and that is still not the case. I mean, we have, you know, Emmy-grade creatives that are working on projects, and they still take time, and you know, I do get the question sometimes like, hey, can you make this in a week for me? Because I saw some headline that somebody did it in a week. And I was like, well, can you even respond to my email in a week? I mean, honestly, you know, the corporations, there's so many moving parts and stakeholders and things. So in many ways, everything's changed. In some ways, nothing has changed. So we are entering this new age of creativity and what's possible with the tools. I wouldn't say I would do anything different. I mean, I think some things would look slightly different or come about in a different way, but you know, excited to share what we're cooking up now.
Great, thank you. Karen, I'm moving to you next. I'm just going to show your clip here.
As a hearing mom, having a deaf, hard of hearing child, I just feel like left out communicating with her, and it hurts me.
Imagine being unable to tell your child, I love you. In the US, 11 million people are deaf or have significant difficulty hearing. 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents who can't communicate with them. Studies show that the earlier a child is exposed to sign language, the better their language development is overall. But it also impacts their cognitive development, their mental health, and overall educational success. It ripples out throughout their life. It's that important, and parents are critical to that language learning.
because I want to talk to her about her wedding, her grandkids, you know, buying a house or being a lawyer or a doctor. I want to be able to be in her life. And I know that in order for me to do that, I have to learn that language and I have to learn that culture.
That's why we partnered with NVIDIA, the world leader in AI computing, and the American Society for Deaf Children to build Signs, an AI-powered platform that revolutionizes sign language learning by blending advanced technology with an intuitive, user-friendly approach. Through your camera and an interactive avatar, the platform provides step-by-step visual guidance, tracks your movements in real time, and offers instant feedback. This empowers users to learn sign language in a way that's never been possible before. But Signs is more than a learning tool. It's a resource for the future of ASL.
This is a really wonderful system.
It can improve the lives of the deaf and hard of hearing community right away.
Opportunities are just endless.
And this is just the beginning. The more people who use Signs, the better it gets.
Karen, I love the diversity of the projects that we're showing, and that to me was so incredible. Tell us more about it.
Oh, thank you. You know, I feel like this really encapsulates a lot of our core beliefs at DEPT. And one of those first things is like a literal and figurative keeping of the human in the loop, right? I think there's a lot of like anxiety in our culture about AI and where it's heading and what it can do for us. And one of the things that's really wonderful and we can demonstrate and we think about a lot when we work with our clients is that, you know, what can we do with AI to actually make the world a better place? And in this case, or make, you know, brand experiences more seamless or more integrated or have utility. And so this is a project that we did with NVIDIA and also really worked on that, like including people in this and like thinking in terms of not just AI as a thing that like you type into, but also something that you can literally interact with. So again, like it's very human and humane. So that is something that we think a lot about at DEPT. Secondly, it's also about that real world crossover interaction, and that's something that AI can really bring to us. And I think now and into the near future in particular, people are really expecting those sorts of enhanced experiences, and that's the kind of experiences that we can deliver. And lastly, one of the things that's really also evident in this is that one of the true benefits of AI is that it can learn and grow, right? So as people interact with signs in particular, they can actually influence its own development. They're adding to the data bank. The camera actually picks up what the sign language gestures are that people are inputting, and it's learning and training and growing and becoming better and better. So I think it really exemplifies like what we can do with AI in a really positive way.
Yeah, I appreciate using AI for good, and maybe all of your clients are thinking about that, but do you think more people ought to be looking at AI with this mindset?
I think absolutely. I think, you know, I think there's ways to sort of define good, right? It can be for more utility and more usefulness, but I think that we do need to think very much about ethics and guidelines and guardrails and sort of what we're bringing consciousness to what we're doing with these tools, and I think that is our goal. And whether that's to, you know, increase the bottom line and how we can do that in a way that's really helpful and beneficial to people who are experiencing brands is what we're interested in.
Great, thank you. Dustin, last but not least, over to you after the video.
Team Rome. This project is a big one, a lot of eyes on it. But together we'll launch more than a city. We'll launch an empire. And we're gonna need it by end of day, so.
If Rome had Miro AI, maybe it could have been built in a day. Get your team from idea to empire faster than ever before with the AI Innovation Workspace. Miro, get great done.
Look at that AI-generated sunset.
So this actually just debuted today, so perfect timing. Yeah, thank you. Where we worked with Miro. If anybody's not familiar with Miro, they're a collaboration workspace. It's an AI-led, particularly for creatives and designers. A lot of people all over the world use this to collaborate, you know, international teams, et cetera. So for me, our business is really how do we help brands tell their story? And that's what I want to help deliver. And this was a perfect example where they came to us and said, hey, we want to tell the story of how if in ancient Rome, Romans had Miro, we believe they could have built Rome in a day. Then they told me their budget, their timeline, and I said, hey, we can't shoot this live action. So we have a choice at this point. We're either going to make this in AI and believe that we can deliver on their concept, or we're not going to be able to produce this concept, and it's going to, come back and think about a new script or a new campaign. And in this case, we did some really quick tests at the beginning, because I think the biggest thing here is this was 90% generated in AI. So what you're seeing here is the talent, the scenes, the props, the dialogue, the performance. This is all in AI. I don't believe in the words of 100% AI, because I don't really see anything that is 100% AI. You're typically always going in and doing some compositing or doing some visual effects cleanup to get it to the point that you want. But the point is that we did a quick test to show them, in this case, could we get the level of performance that they were going to be happy with? And I'm working with traditional creatives who are used to working with human actors. And I'm not going to sit here and BS anybody and go, oh yeah, AI is better than a human performer. Of course it's not. But in just 1 year, from the beginning of this year to the end of this year, I would have never pitched having AI talent do this kind of performance. But by the end of it, the tests that we were showing them, that creative team was like, okay, this is enough of a nuanced performance that it's going to help us tell the story that we want to tell. So that was a little bit of the opportunity that we had to work with Miro.
That's terrific. Thank you. I'm going to try to do a quick round of questions to each one of you, if I can fit them in. I'll start with you, Mike, just as far as if you could tell us a little bit about what emerging opportunities in immersive storytelling beyond traditional screens are most exciting to you going into the new year.
Yeah, like I said, it was a fascinating project when I worked on that, pulling things from the film, out of the film, and into the user space. I think that quickly, like as a storyteller and filmmaker, I began to see a lot of potential that lies in that. As we're moving now into wearables, where you're probably going to have this opportunity to activate the space in between the viewer and the screen, where you can have multiple screens, where you have an understanding of the room that the person is in, or that there's a coffee table in front of them, or they're holding a microphone or whatever. You have an incredible amount of possibility for that. That's first going to start with film, then it's going to hit sports, it hits whatever, reality TV, advertising. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this. It's really exciting working.
That's great. Diana, over to you. How is MRM using AI and emerging tech to transform client brand engagement and personalization?
Well, I'm going to actually build on what Mike was saying, because I think we are equally excited about those types of what we are calling anticipatory experiences, anticipatory and ambiental, because the possibilities that we have right now to connect so many data points that come from so many different areas, from elements of your body, your brain, your eye movement, your hands, etc., all the way to elements of your interoperable ecosystem of devices, all the way to behaviors and signals that we can capture about what you've and how you have interacted with digital. Those, I think, are only scratching the surface of what can be created, and it's going to be fantastic. In fact, as you were talking, I was remembering another example of something we have worked with IKEA in Spain on, which is a concept of designing your sleep while you sleep, which is based on exactly this same thing. People are obsessed with tracking their sleep in today's world. So how easy is it to actually make sure that we are connecting and collecting all sorts of data that comes from not just how you sleep, but the position of your sleep, all of those elements, and actually turn them into ways of designing a better environment that will help with your sleep. So I think that's going to continue to be increasingly important, and I think that's what's going to drive, personalization from just pure, hey, we know your name, we know a couple of things about you, to, no, we actually understand you so well that we can anticipate what you would like to benefit from.
That's a great example. I'm a person guilty of tracking one's sleep. I don't know what other Oura Ring wearers are out there in the audience, but I was already informed this morning that I should take a nap today taking a nap in CES is close to impossible. They haven't established any nap rooms yet, but maybe we'll put that in the suggestion box for next year. Karen, I wanted to ask you where you're seeing applied AI having the biggest near-term impact on brand creative experiences.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it kind of reminds me of like the olden days of like, when desktop publishing came to everyone, but now it's kind of like on steroids where now you can create a lot more with a smaller team. But to your point, you actually there's still like a last mile problem, right? Where you still need actual humans, again, humans in the loop to bring that back, to say that like, we really need to work on these things, sort of bring it all together. So AI has really become, not so much a middleman, but sort of a way for us to execute on our creative ideas much more quickly, much more efficiently, get things to market faster. So, creating content at scale and actually refining that content actually within the market as people interact with it, thus leading to greater like personalization opportunities.
Great. Nick, as someone who's created first-of-a-kind AI brand films, what techniques or approaches do you think will define the next wave of branded experiences?
Yeah, I think because so much is possible with AI and your imagination is your limit in some ways, there's many opportunities, but there's also such a blue sky that it's kind of hard sometimes to dial in exactly what you're making. I mean, I'm also kind of in the talent business, and so we scout talent from all over the world, and that's why now we work with people literally all around the globe, because I think this has created such a new opportunity for talent to arise from everywhere. I mean, you don't just have to live in Los Angeles anymore to be in entertainment because of what's possible with AI. I think we're going to be able to get things to market quicker, and we have already seen that, and for reduced costs, but also expanded storytelling. I mean, put it simply, it's just more chances at bat. Brands are greenlighting things that would never have been greenlit before because of AI, and the cost and time to market, it's not as much, so we're able to try out more things. Some of them will be wildly successful, some of them might not be, but the cool thing is people get to keep making it. With Critters, the creatives working on that film, I think the thesis there is, hey, we're going to make this feature film in about a year instead of 3 or 4, which is an animated feature film timeline. And those artists get a piece of the film, equity in ways that hasn't ever been done before, and then they get to go do the next thing. So I think as a creative, it's very invigorating because you get to explore more things.
Great, thank you. Dustin, you and I have been doing this panel together for the past few years, and every year these technologies have become more practical. How do we flip the conversation and start talking about creativity and value and growth?
Well, it seems like, as you said, we've done this for 3 years, and I think in the first couple years, it feels like we've been in that space of like novelty, where we're all like, hey, it was made in AI. And now we're getting to the place where it's, okay, yes, it was made in AI. Now, like, how is it actually delivering on the brand story, the creative, the utility of whatever, the ask is? So I think that's where we're going, and I guess what I would say with it all is, listen, all of us have had a chance to work with different clients, and there's still plenty of our clients who are at that stage where they're still just in that pilot phase of just wanting to, like, try it. But I'm hoping that there's going to be more of a mindset shift in, I think we're still stuck in the world, and I understand it's been decades of us working in certain production, parameters and working in certain ways we think about media. And I think we now need to think about things not so much in a static way, but in how we can constantly be evolving this content that we're creating. And it can go to personalization and data endpoints, and there's all these opportunities, but this isn't going to happen overnight, and this takes a lot of change management with our clients, even with us as creators, and how we're all thinking about this stuff and leveraging AI to do it. So I think that's the big thing that I think is going to be happening over the course of this year and going forward.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. A question back to you and any other panelists who wish to opine on this. You talked about this mindset shift and change management, which I absolutely agree with. How can all of us on the panel, as well as people in the room, be catalysts to get our clients and our partners and talent and creative to think this way?
Well, I'll just say this, is that, like, one, it's partly showing them projects and getting people inspired to understand how you can do it. This is very much a production-related thing. There's a lot of answers we can give to this, but I'll just share one of the things that we're doing a lot right now is our clients, that project, for example, that I just showed you from Miro, people don't understand how to provide feedback and at what step along the way. Like, hey, what if I tell you I want to change the bag that the person's carrying in this? If you give that feedback too late in the process, it means an entire regeneration. It's like doing an entire shoot again. And our clients, we've been doing film production for years upon years. So I think at least what we're trying to do is take cues from film production and help educate people early on. Here's the steps, here's how it's a little bit different, but here's how you move it along. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do to help people understand and be more confident. Because I got to tell you, it'd be like if somebody goes on a film production and all of a sudden all your clients looked at you and said, hey, by the way, how do I provide feedback on the stuff that you just shot? Nobody asks that anymore because they've been doing it for a while. That's what we're doing right now in AI production, and that's something that we have to educate and get solved.
I think it's because there's been this narrative that like anything's possible with AI, and yes, it kind of is, but not when it's like, okay, here's the delivery. Well, that's great, but what about this instead? And you're like, there's still that process of the storyboards and signing off on the script and getting the wardrobe pick. So we've been trying to shepherd in the same process at Native Fort.
One of the things that we're seeing is that a lot of our clients, they have websites or apps or even VR related tools or whatever that we're producing for them, but they also will ultimately own and have to enhance or produce themselves. So one of the things that we're doing with our clients is actually helping them with their change management and operationalization, tough word, by actually sort of helping them come up with AI tooling assessment frameworks in conjunction with helping them define for themselves what their jobs to be done are for their actual sort of internal change management. And then using AI tools to actually assess how they work now and then what tools would actually help them and where in their process. So it's something that we actually work with our clients to actually figure out, not only here's how you can do this particular XYZ site app, you name it, but then also here's how you can maintain it and enhance it.
Yeah. We're focusing a lot on co-creating and on being very intentional about the value creation for every of the AI-driven, or pretty much every emerging technology integration. And one of the simple frameworks that we have started to be using with clients in order to push value creation from the get-go is this thing which we call REAL. Is this real? REAL meaning R standing for relevance. What is the actual need that this particular initiative is actually going to solve for? Does it have evidence of success? And is the evidence of success something that we all as stakeholders involved in the project agree on from the get-go? It stands for augmentation. Is it actually augmenting existing capabilities instead of just having a push for efficiency and speed, which we felt was capturing a little bit too much of the conversation? And then L stands for longevity, which Dustin, you were talking about as well, which is okay, can this go from pilot stage to actually having global footprint and so on? So that kind of forces a much stronger conversation, not just about how can we do this faster, better with your people, but how can we actually do this in a way that creates value and creates value for longer terms and for more audiences and for more people involved in the process.
That's great. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Jumping on that or just going with that into just storytelling, I think that so much of the dialogue is about efficiency and about how to trim production or speed production in order to do this, which is great. You can get more iterations and they can get higher quality because you have more iterations because it's happening faster. But what I find so fascinating is what is it that we can use AI to make that you never could have made before? Not we can make Ben-Hur in faster. That's great. But what is these things? What are the stories that could never possibly be told that we've never seen before, ever in history? Because that's what we're going into. When you combine real-time, CGI, AI, XR, we're creating a new medium Like, we're going from egg tempera to oil paint to something completely new, and that's going to generate completely new content and completely new ways of telling stories. So that's the bold future that is so exciting about. So in terms of asking people what you can do for us, I'm like, help us get people taking huge narrative risks.
I love that. Huge narrative risks. So as we wrap up today's conversation, let me bring us back to why we're all here. Technology is only as transformative as the human intention behind it, which I think we were just talking about. And I want to leave you with 3 key takeaways or closing points. First is start with story, not with technology. That may be very obvious, but essential. Second is embrace experimentation, but measure what matters. And lastly, remember that trust is your most valuable asset as far as the people that we're serving and building these experiences for. What excites me the most this year is that we're not just witnessing and in the midst of technological evolution, we're actively shaping how billions of people will experience brands, stories, and entertainment for decades to come. So what will you do tomorrow? I want to thank all of our wonderful panelists. We're going to take a quick picture, and then if anyone has questions for the group, sorry we couldn't fit in a Q&A, but I'm sure folks will be happy to talk to you. Have a great CES.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.